Hi guys. I'm going to compare four different exchange traded funds, three of which are based on the Mag 7, two of which pay dividends, one of which is a pure play of the Mag 7, which would be MAGs, against NVIDIA, the Yield Max NVIDIA fund. That's the only fund I'll trade actually from Yield Max. I used to trade YMAG, and I still do occasionally, but I'm kind of swapping strategies, and I'll show you why exactly, which of these four I'm going to go with. So year to date, if we look at these four, pretty much flat. I mean, we've only had about a week, right? You see, we have a little decline in YMAG and both YMAG and NVIDIA from YieldMax. We're positive for MAGs and MAGI though. So looking at the chart though for returns, the total return chart, and this goes back pretty much since the inception of the newest fund, I'm guessing. So if you look at Maggie in the red, it's trailing. You look at YMAG, it's just above Maggie. NVIDIA is at the top currently, followed by MAGs. And that's interesting to me because MAGs is a pure play, whereas NVIDIA being a yield max fund, scary NAV erosion. But if you look at, share price has gone down on that one, but look at that chart, man. This is total returns. So in green, NVIDIA is just outpacing, crushing the competition. The only one that comes close is MAGS. And MAGS is a pure play on the Magnificent Seven and had a stellar year last year in 2025. And look at the overall return. Like I said, it's going to go by the inception of the newest fund. It's dated 2025, April 23rd, basically to current time period. Maggie overall return 25.29%, YMAG 39.34%, doing pretty good. It's beating Maggie. NVIDIA 65.93% total return on that. MAG's at 53.65%. So the two top funds, NVIDIA and MAGs. And MAGs, like I said, is like a pure play. And the Magnificent Seven had a stellar year last year. I would have expected Mags to maybe outpace NVIDIA, to be perfectly honest, but no, it really hasn't. It's lagging by almost, about 12%. Growth of 10K had you invest in these funds from April 23rd of 2025. If you put 10K into MAG, you'd have $12,529.27. YMAG, it'd be worth $13,933.89. NVIDIA at $16,593.10. MAGs, $15,364.88. And we'll look at the analyzer's returns on the graph here. And can you tell which fund I'm going to trade relative to income and just that income on a stock specific type of ETF from YieldMax, that income is massive. The potential for when NVIDIA goes through these consolidation periods before a breakout is massive. But you got to be willing to take a hit. You got to be willing to look at the NAV erosion over time. So you got to be willing to take that hit on the share price and just go for the total return. And you got to be able to chart, in my opinion, the chart of NVIDIA and figure out if we're in a sideways channel or something like that. We're not at the highs, I know that. We're kind of like indecisive on the chart. So I started trading NVIDIA. NVIDIA's very fluid. It basically gets like 5 million trades a day on average, I believe. And options are liquid. So I started selling puts on NVIDIA. If I get a sign, fine. If I don't, every month I sell a put until I'm assigned. Once I'm assigned, I wait. I sell another put. I look at the chart on NVIDIA. I think if I see on NVIDIA, let's pull up a chart. Let's go to Mag 7. If we look at NVIDIA's chart, and we've had a little bit of dip overnight, we're having a dip. You see that blue line? That's like my line of interest where I see consolidation and a previous support at 182.79. We're coming into that. You see, we're tailing down into it right now. So at this point, I was a little bit prior to this. It was last week when I sold the put. I'm waiting. to see what happens. Because right now that almost looks like it looks like a right shoulder kind of, like a head and shoulders, and it looks like it's forming a right shoulder on this daily chart. And you see the RSI, it looks really bearish. I don't know if you can see that. That's pointed out for you. Right here where the little bull is pointing at the orange line, and the MACD is curling over. So the chart looks bearish, guys, right now, and it looks like it could be forming a head and shoulders. But that could be invalidated. You got earnings coming up for NVIDIA, so anything could happen. Just because it looks like it's forming doesn't mean it's going to actually confirm. It's not going to, if it hasn't broke the neckline. So where would the neckline be? Let's move this up, and you see the neckline would probably be in there somewhere, I guess. Until it breaks below that and confirms, it's not a head and shoulders. So keep that in mind, guys. I'm not sure why I had that line there. Let's see what I was showing. Got to bring it back down. See that previous support? So basically, I think if it did confirm a head and shoulders pattern, it'd probably go down that 150 range, 149 range, whatever. But if it doesn't, it breaks higher. And I got a feeling its potential to break higher around earnings, prior to earnings, is pretty big. I think that's how NVIDIA usually trades, and then afterwards kind of goes up for a few days maybe, and then sells off sometime after during the profit-taking cycle. But like I said, you never know what's going to happen with earnings either. So if this thing does confirm a head and shoulders, 150 would be my target on it. So right now I sold a put on NVIDIA. That's how I'm trading as a proxy because I'm all about income. I want to get paid if I own anything. But if we hit the 150, to be honest, I'm buying, unless earnings is really horrible, I'm buying a call option at 149. Guarantee you anything in that channel underneath 182, maybe even. But definitely at 149, 150, that's where I'd buy a call option in NVIDIA. But currently what I'm doing is selling puts on NVIDIA, and I sold a 14 strike last week, and I received $68. It expires February 20th. I kind of go out just beyond 30 days on my strike, so that's what I'll be doing. And so if I get a sign, I'll just average down. But the way I'm doing is with options, and if I get a sign on an option contract, that's fine. If I don't, I get to pocket the premium. That's how I look at it. Anyway, guys, so really, honestly, it's NVIDIA, just based on that total return. I know I said I was going to avoid yield max, but because I think there's still upside in NVIDIA, I think you could play this. I think I can play it, and that's what I plan to do. Now, it could easily break down, like I said, down. If you look at the chart, this will break down further. If NVIDIA pulls back, this thing's going to go sink a lot further, I would expect. So if it did, look out below. But if that's the case, for whatever reason, I would wait till we hit those levels before I would play another trade on NVIDIA itself. But this thing is trading. Let's pull it up again. NVIDIA. This thing trades massive. I got to show you this real quick. A 78% yield, but look how low it hit at 743. So you got to get a massive haircut at some point on this if NVIDIA pulls back. Assets under management, 1.57 billion. It's not showing the average on trading volume on this, not till it opens up. But basically, this does trade a couple of million shares a day. All right, guys, that's one. I'm not going to put a lot of money toward this, maybe less than 1 or 2% of my portfolio at any given time. Or basically what I would do is take my dividend income per month and do a trade on it or average down with some of my dividend income. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to take that risk for a short period of time to see if it pans out. It's going to be an experiment going forward, and we'll see what kind of returns I get on it. So as far as 1%, how much would that be? I don't know, a few grand maybe. So a few hundred shares at the most I would ever get of this. And the only way I plan to do it is by selling puts on pullbacks to a support on the chart of NVIDIA, and that's when I would look at NVIDIA and start selling puts again. All right, guys, take care. Bye.